actually our first extroverted guest speaker on The Quiet Achiever to really understand what that extroverted experience is like. It sounds like a lot of conversations and a lot of peopling.
I am the most happy that I have been in years, Tim, because I am peopling.
When did you first realize that you were an extrovert, and how did you encounter the term?
I was a very chatty little kid, very, very chatty little kid. Chat, chat, chat. Talk to the adults a lot. Loved it, loved it. I got bullied from about the age of 8 to the age of 15, and I became more quiet. And that was a way of me protecting myself. I learned the term and the differences when I was working at Argus, which was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And one of the things they wanted to do was to get us to work better together as a group. When we did this, we did Myers-Briggs. So whether you care about Myers-Briggs or not, it's a good way of bringing a conversation together. But out of the UX designers, there were 2 of us who were extroverts. And everyone else was an introvert.
I believe that having diverse teams is a really good thing.
Yes.
We're stronger from it. But the challenge here is that difference sometimes brings tension and friction, just like you described, right?
And that's one of the reasons that doing any sort of analysis of a team by looking at who we were as a group made us go, how do we work better together? And it also made me realize that where I wanted to have conversations, do all this conversation stuff, and we'll work it out and we'll brainstorm, the rest of the team was struggling with me doing that. The useful bit is doing one of those as a way to have the conversations across the organization. And by recognizing that, that makes me a better manager. My boss used to drive him nuts that I would put my headphones on in the morning, because he always wanted to have a conversation with me in the morning. And I suspect he was quite introverted. That's when his energy time was there. And he used to just sit there going, why aren't you paying? You need to turn off your headphones.
People may assume that being an extrovert, living in a world where the extrovert ideal is desired, they may think that it's the world's perfect. It's a bed of roses, right? Can you give some examples of how your extroverted ways may have led you to, less positive outcomes?
I will want to extrovert a lot of stuff because it gets my information out. So I want to talk about it. And for a lot of people, that is overwhelming to be having that blast of information, that blast of emotion. What is the other way for me is not to broadcast as much, and this is the bit I broadcast, but to actually take that back and have individual conversations rather than broadcasting out. Amy's laughing. What's happening? Does that connect?
Yeah, we got like a broadcast of information today, so kind of related to that. Yeah.
Good.
Extroverted managers might not get when they work with introverts.
So I think that the tools that we have as extroverted managers are the tools of stakeholder management. It's the tools of meetings. I have an introvert manager who goes, I want to think about this a bit more. For many people, putting an agenda in means that the agenda turns up on the day. Brainstorms are an extrovert's idea of, I haven't prepared anything, so let's just talk. Our brainstorms and our meetings then were in a better place. His new boss doesn't give him shower time. I'm going, Keith? And he goes, he was working remotely, so she doesn't give me the time to think. And you know that if I have 3 days on this, I will be so much better. The ideas will be so much better.
Have you got any practical advice for those people, how they can make that relationship work?
The 2 of you to talk about your working styles and talk about, this is how I work. This is what works for me, and for them to do the equivalent.
I wonder how this conversation might change if you're talking to someone higher up and trying to meet in the middle where there might be power dynamics.
Power dynamic. Yeah, it's a really hard one when you have a power dynamic of someone else who has power over you. The power dynamic then for you is to almost, and this is where you've got all the rest of your allies, as opposed to you just having to do everything by yourself. And some of that is going to be behavioral, and some of it's going to be language. More power, you actually may be more casual. I worked in marketing, highly extroverted. So IT, terribly, totally introverted as well. So design and IT. So in some ways, great, we've got that connection. Now, how do we make the connection from other ways? I need some more time to think about this as an introvert. How do I need more time. I just can't go in. You just can't put a meeting in. Is that okay? Can you do this more often for us? Number 2, you modeling the behavior you want to come through. Suddenly you're modeling a really well prepared meeting that others will start to learn from as well.
But some people watching this might then think, oh, no, if they're super senior, they should be able to perform on the spot. What do you think and what will you say to those people?
So all of us are better when we prepared. All of us are better when we prepare. It doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert. And I feel as if, especially in design and in design thinking, we're expected to run a workshop and everyone's just supposed to be on the spot making this better. Not even an extrovert is not going to come up with their best ideas on the spot. When you're a senior, you will say, I see the patterns and the connections, and they bring their experience in. That doesn't happen quickly.
Maybe even things that hold back introverted ICs from moving into management.
The difference in it is mostly the watering and caring of people. And watering and caring of people is not an extrovert or an introvert property. Now, the bit where we find the extroversion introversion problem may turn up a bit more is when you move from being a manager to always being upward focused. And that's where extroverts seem to thrive, and they thrive not because they are necessarily better at stuff, but because they put a better face on. And this is where organizations need to change, because organizations need to say, we're not getting necessarily the best people by people who are just charismatic and think that they can do the stuff. You are hiring on confidence and charisma. And I want you to sit there and go, this doesn't work. Nuh-uh. Where is our marks for competency and capability and potential? So this is the awful thing about culture. We hire people who look like us. We hire people that reflect who we are, and we can see ourselves in them. And if someone is too quiet, is it that we were overwhelming? That they didn't have enough time to think? That we didn't provide them with the right way that they felt that they could communicate or that they could contribute? Turn to them and say, look, I really know that a lot of my designers actually are probably going to be introverts. And so therefore, they may not shine in the way that we are measuring them right now. So let's go back to capabilities that we expect.